In today's show, the Trailblazers had a terrible, no good, very bad weekend, getting beat down in Charlotte and then beat down again in Atlanta. Let's unpack everything that went wrong. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, it was a terrible, no good, very bad weekend. It's just as gross as it can get. The Trailblazers get stomped out by the Hornets on Saturday afternoon. Hop on a flight, fly to Atlanta, and get stomped out by the Atlanta Hawks on Sunday evening in Atlanta. Cool. Cool. Just a mess of a road trip to start off. It is not the end of anything, but I think it is a telling point in the season and has been a revealing weekend, if nothing else. Perhaps not predictive of the future, but certainly a reality of where they are now. We'll recap both those games, unpack what went wrong. I want to talk about Scoot Henderson. I want to talk about Onyeka Okongwu raining threes on the Trailblazers defense and Donovan Clingan specifically. I want to talk about what this stretch does indeed reveal, and the Blazers launching bricks all weekend and sort of where they're at stylistically, talent-wise, skill-wise, all of those things. Well, let's get into it. We'll start in Charlotte on Saturday afternoon. Blazers play a matinee game. Fun weekend of NBA hoops, unless you're a Trailblazers fan. But there were games all day, Saturday and Sunday. We got a jam-packed set of games. Pretty good little basketball. Friday night had an incredible Nuggets Thunder game. A great weekend for the NBA. Again, unless, of course, you root for the Fighting Pinwheels, who got punked 109-93 in Charlotte. Here is your fastest recap. They're down 29-17 after one. That's 17 total points. They missed. So they go 0 of 10 from 3. Couldn't throw it in a lake, right? And I think it's like that's the thing you're going to highlight. But they also turned the ball over 5 times, and they gave up 7 offensive rebounds to the Hornets. Like, they just did everything wrong. They turned the ball over, they missed a bunch of shots, and then they gave the other team, who wasn't shooting particularly well, a bunch of second chances. They go into halftime only down 8, though. And all things considered, considering the Blazers, that's considered twice in one sentence. That tripped me up right there. The Blazers started 0 of 14 from 3. They missed their first 4 threes to start the second quarter as well. But they made some to end the half, 5 of their final 8. The Hornets only scored 22 points in the second quarter, and it's 51-43 at the break. All things considered, they're in a good spot. But then the Hornets kind of start to pull away in the third, lead by as many as 14. Okay, but again, they're only down 7 entering the fourth. It's 67-74. They're only down 7 with 8.5 minutes left. It's a 7-point game with 8.5 minutes left. And then this is the stretch that kind of decided the game. Blazers missed 2 threes. First, Drew Holiday takes a pull-up 3 in transition, off the mark. Then the Blazers give up a 3 to Concanipple. Scoot Henderson misses a 3 on the following Blazers possession. The Blazers give up a 3 to Sion James. Blazers take a timeout. Okay. That 7-point lead swelled to 13 pretty quickly, but they haven't pulled away yet. They've never led by more than 15 in this game. You're still in it. They come out of the timeout, turn the ball over on a lob attempt. Scoot tries to get inside, throw a lob to Clingan. Turnover leads to a run out. Kobe White gets a layup. Blazers turn the ball over. Tumani Kamara throws just a weak inbounds pass to no one. Kind of like, whoops, shouldn't have thrown it. Kind of just like bounces it into the paint. Concanipple grabs it, misses the layup, but tips in his own miss. And that's a 10-zip run. 2 threes and then 2 layups off of turnovers, and from a 7-point game to a 17-point game with 6.5 minutes left. That was a 2.5 minutes to lose the game. It went from like, I can't believe they're still in it, Like, they've played terribly, but I can't believe they're still in it, and they absolutely are, down 7 with 8 minutes left. That's a ball game, to this thing is done unless they find a miracle, and of course they never found a miracle, never got closer than 12 in the final 6 minutes and 50 seconds, and they go on to lose 109-93. That's your fastest recap in the West in Charlotte. And then they would get on an airplane. Charlotte's been hooping, right? They didn't play. I don't think the Hornets played particularly well in this game at all, but like, they've been, since January 1st, the best offense in the league. They're top 10 defense. They're pretty good. And because of guys, the addition of, unfortunately, Duke rookies, guys like Sion James, and guys like Con Knippel, and then they have like enough depth to be a competitive basketball team, and they've got more LaMelo Ball. Like, they're losing to the Hornets, not that big of a deal. Atlanta is, they'd won 3 in a row, but 2 of those wins were against the Wizards that were not particularly impressive performances. And as I mentioned in previewing this road trip, the Hawks are just like epically mediocre. They're just a mediocre team. And if they didn't have Jalen Johnson in that game, the Hawks are straight up bad. But he's back. He's healthy. Okay, well, he's an all-star and has been excellent this year. And they have gone as he has gone for most of the season. And the Blazers are going to play this game without Rob. They're, of course, playing both of these games without Denny Avdia, who remains out. He was listed as doubtful for both these games, which makes me somewhat hopeful that he could return after the Blazers get a couple days off when they play Memphis on Wednesday. We shall see. But second night of a back-to-back, Rob Williams sits. They had a couple. The Blazers, clearly there's like a flu going around the team. They have some guys missing. I don't know. Flu is maybe a capital letter word. There's an illness going around the team. Donovan Clingan was listed on the injury report with an illness. Sidi Sissoko. Chris Murray starts the game in Atlanta, eventually leaves at halftime with an illness. But the Hawks are more whole, but this is not an elite team. And in fact, they rip off 44 points in the first quarter. Unlike the game in Charlotte, where the Blazers just like couldn't score early, like just could not make a shot. They actually led 13-10 after the first 3 minutes. It's like they made 4 of their first 6 shots. Like, this was not the way the game immediately started was not like, oh yeah, they're in trouble. But then Atlanta ripped off a 33-6 run over the following 8 minutes of the first quarter. 33-6 in the first quarter, a 27-point turn. And it's 44-25 after 1. The game's over. It's over. That 33-6 run in 8 minutes in the first quarter ended the game. Blazers down 17 at the break. They're down 18 after 3. The wheels fall off in garbage time, and they lose 135-101. They were down 19 at the end of the first quarter, and they were never closer than 15 the remainder of the game. Atlanta scored 66 points in the paint. Onyeka Okongwu hit 7 threes. This was, according to Brad Rowland of Locked On Hawks, shout out to Brad, who does a wonderful job. This was the Hawks' second best offensive performance of the season. Their 44 points were their high for any first quarter of a season, and their second highest of any quarter period this year. This was about as good of offense as the Hawks have played all year. The Blazers just said, yeah. So they start the weekends with a brutal offensive game against the Hornets that if their offense had been even a little bit decent, like as opposed to just as horrendous as it was. And in Charlotte, they just could not make a shot. 11 of 47 from 3. They just absolutely could not score from outside. And I'll talk about that more in a moment. But then then they followed that up with just an absolute stinker defensive performance. Second night of a back-to-back. Atlanta's got a rest advantage. And it's like, whatever. There's some reasons that the Hawks win this game. They're at home. You're on the road. But to not be non-competitive after 9 minutes into the game, see ya. That's your terrible, no good, very bad weekends. Blazers, I don't know if I said the final score, 135-101. That's your fastest recap in the West. A brutal weekend for Scoot Henderson, who was just bad in both of these games. I mentioned heading into the weekend that game against the Bulls, it's like, I didn't think he played very well in Chicago, but I kind of think like the Blazers have this runway to just kind of let him play this is probably the last time during his career where there's just like runway to play Scoot regardless, right? It's just like, okay, he's a 3rd overall pick. We're fairly invested in his success, right? And if he is bad, like, there's not an easy out, right? You're not going to just like magically trade Scoot for a star if he stinks. Like, so you're kind of invested in Scoot not being horrendous. But I thought, in that Chicago game to kick off the road trip where the Blazers didn't play particularly well but found a way to win, I thought Scoot, not playing when the game got close down the stretch was defensible just because it wasn't very good. But, people still want to see Scoot. I think the fan base is ready to see Scoot play and start and thrive. And then he just struggled in these two games. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about Onyeka Okongwu hitting 7 threes and what the Blazers did and did not do to stop that. I want to talk about the Blazers, missing 96 three-pointers to begin the road trip. We got more to talk about. Join me in that second segment. If you're here, you're a real one, and if you stay with me, you're even realer. Join me in that second segment. First, I want to tell you that today's show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Therapy can be an incredibly valuable tool for whatever you're going through, whether it is a acute traumatic events, a singular traumatic event, or just trying to navigate the struggles of everyday life. If you do not have to have a major trauma in your life to benefit greatly from therapy, and there are many ways to get therapy, and BetterHelp is one of them, and one of the most convenient and affordable options out there. So whether you're dealing with expectations that you carry for yourself or for others, pressure that you have across your life in various avenues, therapy can help with all of that. It can create balance, can help you create balance, can help you set healthy boundaries, and just support your overall well-being. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served worldwide, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, and it works. Fill out a short questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and if it's not the right fit, switch at any time. Your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel a little bit lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. That's betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. All right. Thanks for making this show your first listen. If you are indeed tapping into the second segment here, I appreciate you. You're probably a real one, which means real ones should go sign up for the Locked On Everydayer Club. $5 a month, $50 a year. You get access to the members only Discord. We can chat up with me. Come chat up. Come hang and talk hoops with me. Or in addition, you will get access to the ad-free version of this audio. It's Locked On Blazers without the interruptions. Link in the show notes, lockedonblazers.supercast.com. Okay, a little bit more on Scoot here. Charlotte, 3 of 12, 0 of 7 from 3, just can't make anything. And I think importantly, only takes 5 twos in this game. Got to the free throw line, took, for 3 attempts, but the best version of Scoot is going to be a 5 or 6 plus free throw attempt guy. He's going to have to shoot to be in the league, but I think the sort of ideal version of Scoot is someone who gets to the rack more often, develops an in-between game, has some more sort of 2-point craft around the rim. And now he's been better finishing this year than he has in the past. I would not say it's a strength overall, still just watching him, although I think the early small sample size numbers suggest that it's certainly a major improvement. But I think my eyeballs, when there are contested finishes, say he's still not there. He hasn't taken a big leap there yet, but maybe he will, maybe he has, and I'm just I'll be slow to come around on it. But without the shooting, it's just so tough, and without the ability to generate twos, it's just so tough. I just thought he was really, really, really brutal in Charlotte. And then the Hawks game, it's I worry. I don't worry. I want to caution against saying this too firmly, but he shot the type of bricks you shoot when you're worried about missing. His first 2 shots barely hit the rim. He threw them hard off the glass, window breakers. He's just seems like you're forcing them, right? I just don't want to psychoanalyze necessarily, but my read on those shots is it is someone thinking about jump shooting, right? I gotta make these. I missed so many, and he's just really struggling. And like I said, there's part of me that says I said on this podcast that when Scoot was coming back and getting healthy, that I think they should kind of force feed him minutes, even if he struggles. But I don't know that you can, he's playing 25 minutes a game. I don't think you can justify right now with the way, the quality that he is playing. That's you got to get Scoot out there for 6 more minutes. What are you doing? Drew Holiday was pretty much the only player that kept the Blazers afloat for these games, even close to it. This was a brutal weekend for Scoot. It's 2 games. I don't think he was very good in Chicago, but he wasn't this bad. But these were 2 bad games. He needs to bounce back and to get right. I thought his first 3 or 4 games out of when he first came back from injury were really promising. He is struggling right now with just general efficiency. How do I, Sterling Scoot Henderson, generate quality looks? What is a quality look for me? Are they shots inside the arc? Are they, the pull-up threes are not working. Even some catch-and-shoot threes he's missed badly when he's been open. Maybe some of that settles, right? And it's like, those are good process shots, but he's struggled. And they need him. There's so much of like what's next with the Blazers. It doesn't all hinge on Scoot by any means, but there's like, if it isn't Scoot, like if Scoot's not part of what is next, they are probably further away than you want them to be. I think that's just the sort of challenging truth of it, is that if Scoot is like, even if Scoot is like a pretty good backup point guard, they're further away from where you want him to be. Like, they need him to be a starter and probably a plus starter in the league to really have a sustained chance at this thing. Or the answer is currently probably not on the roster, right? Because the other 2 point guards are in their middle 30s. Okay, Onyeka Okongwu against the Hawks, just like he plays for the Hawks against the Blazers, but in that game against the Hawks, rained down 3, 7 of 12 from deep. And many folks, shout out to the everydayers in the Discord server, were kind of bemoaning that the Blazers, quote unquote, stayed in drop coverage. And that is where you guard pick and rolls with Donovan Clingan not up at the level, like dropped all the way back. I went back and watched all 12 of Onyeka's attempts before I hit record on this podcast. I don't think this was a drop coverage problem, y'all. I think that's like a thing you can say because it has been true in the past. I'm not sure that's what happened in this game. His first 2 threes that he hit, he was on the weak side, and when just like very normal, almost every team in the league plays defense like this. When your guy's in the weak side corner, Donovan Clingan is like the opposite side of the ball, and Okongwu was the opposite side of the ball in the far corner. Clingan is pulled in all the way to the paint with this, like, he's the rim protector. He's the low man for parlance, for sort of NBA natural parlance. He's the low man there. The low man is they want you touching the paint, and then they kick out twice. One on just like a nice cross court pass. Another where you just like. You can't let Dyson Daniels just get into the paint that easy, right? You got to stay in front and make him shoot jumpers or floaters, right? But they don't, and then Clingan is kind of stuck as the low man. His responsibility is there, and they kick out to the corners. He hits 2 corner threes. His first 2 threes he made were from the corners. That doesn't drop defense. That has nothing to do with drop defense. The second 2 he missed were in transition. One was a pin in, and one was kind of a Daria transition shot where Clingan did not go out and defend him. You don't love that, right? But that's not drop defense. That's Clingan playing a little bit low, but that's not like the stylistic pick and roll stuff. The third is a trail 3 in transition, where Clingan is in the paint back early and defending the rim, and then the Blazers don't recover and pick up in transition. It's pretty bad defense, right? Like, I'm not defending that. It's bad defense. And I thought the Blazers' defense against the Hawks was horrendous. And transition defense, not all of defense is effort, right? A lot of defense is communication and anticipation and like the skill of being able to stay connected. You have to play hard, right? But people say it's all effort. It's not in the NBA level. It's too much thinking going on. Transition defense is a lot of effort because it's your first 5 steps, right? It's like it's sprinting back to get in front and then connecting. The third one is a trail 3 in transition. That's not drop defense. Clingan was deep in the paint, but he was deep in the paint stopping someone else back in transition. He's getting, there's a guy who runs wide to the corner. Clingan runs all the way back, notices the guy wide to the corner, and then he has to recover. But like, his responsibility first is to get back. I don't think that's not drop defense. Clingan does probably get too low in the paint, but again, it's a myth. The 4-3 that Onyeka Okongwu hits in the first half is a kick out. Okay, so he has at the top of the key. Clingan's playing way off of him. That is indeed, he's playing a little bit of a drop style, right? He's way off him. And they run like a handoff with Jalen Johnson, and he kind of gets free off of Tumani, and Onyeka throws a great pass to him. And now Johnson is going to the rim, and Clingan is the defender who has to pick him up, or it's a dunk. He plays defense. This is the drop defense, right? They corral Tumani and Klingon get there. The ball gets kicked out to the top of the key. Scoot Henderson has to rotate over and take that shot away. Instead, he does a little wave. He does a little wave to him, and Onyeka Okongwu, who has hit 3 threes already, takes a absolutely butt naked, wide open top of the key 3 for his 4th 3. That is not on Klingon. So what they would need to do there, they would need to be very connected, because Scoot immediately closed to Okongwu hard, probably close to him on his left side, his non-shooting side, but it's the left side, because he might try to make that pass to Gabe Vincent. The guy in the corner, I believe, is Jeremy Grant on that play. He's going to have to get up to Gabe Vincent, and then Tumani, who's in the paint, or Klingon, but probably Tumani, who's in the paint, is going to have to X out to the corner. But you have to make them pass. You like if you are caught in that situation, you have to scramble in rotations. They don't, and they give up a bucket. So he's hit 4 threes. The 5th 3 he hits is on complete insanity drop defense. Complete insanity. Just defending him like he has not made 4 threes in the first quarter. Defending him like he is it's one thing to be like, hey, he's a pretty good shooter, 38% from 3, like he could shoot it, but like we want to pack the paint and give up. We're gonna play the percentages that he's gonna, that we can late contest and we'll get him to shoot 34%. We're gonna win the game. Insane, terrible defense, terrible. Just why is Klingon so low? What is going on? That's the 5th 3. That's bonkers. Circle that one. The 6th 3 is near criminal levels of bad transition defense. Okongwu hits a wide open 3 as they recover. There's 3 Blazers in the paint, not guarding anyone. Scoot Henderson's back is to the ball. Someone else is pointing to the corner. They have no idea. They have no idea who they're picking up. Criminal levels of transition defense. But also, Okongwu's wide open. If they close out to him, who's also wide open? Nikhil Alexander-Walker standing in the corner butt naked. There's nobody near him. There's nobody near him. Just horrendous team defense. He missed another one in the first half, wide open late in the half, wide open. This was strong side help, though. This isn't drop defense. This is strong side help. You got to contain the ball, and I think Klingon does need to be further out there. Like, he needs to be further out on that corner. I don't love that one. And then there was he hit 7 threes, and his 7-3 is a tremendously bad pick and roll defense. They run this, the benches on the court at the end of the game. Klingon's not even on the court. It's Young Hansen playing center. This is the Blazers' like deep bench unit, but they run the Spain action, which is like a double pick and roll, but it's like a stack pick and roll between one guy's gonna pop, one guy's gonna roll as the screener comes off, and you kind of back screen the screener who's going towards the rim. It was a really common action in the NBA maybe 6 or 8 years ago. You don't see it as much, but it still exists. And Hansen is the low man there. He's low, not guarding Okongwu in the corner, but if he gets out to Okongwu in the corner, who does splash a wide open unguarded 3, he's going to give up a dunk. That's bad team defense. That's a bad team defense. I do think one of these, the 5th 3-pointer that Okongwu made was near criminal levels that was the insanity. Sorry. The crime was the transition defense. Insanity drop defense. Why are they still in it? What is going on? But the other ones, I think this was bad defense, but it wasn't bad defense in the way this wasn't bad pick and roll defense. This was mostly bad transition defense and not containing the ball on the front end, and Klingon doesn't close out fast. I mean, that's a problem. I got amazingly more to talk about from a couple of these games, including like what I think these 2 losses reveal about the Trailblazers. Join me in the 3rd segment. Let's talk about revelations. First, though, let's talk FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book, and college basketball is here. We're getting into March. In fact, you're listening to March 2nd's program. Big games, momentum swings every single night. You're going to get you're going to get conference tournaments. You're going to get the NCAA tournaments all day long from your early tip-offs to your West Coast shootouts, and you can get in on the action over there at FanDuel. So go safe. Be bold and ride with a team you've been following all season. If you want to be a parlay person, load up on a bunch of parlays, get wild with it. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Today's program is also brought to you by Indeed. You got workplace chaos, you got deadlines stacking up, you got inboxes overflowing, and you still have that one position that's sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat. During this ad read, in the minute I'm going to talk to you, companies like yours will have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support my show by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You still listen to Locked On Blazers. While the Blazers were giving up threes to Onyeka Okongwu, in large part because of some horrendous transition defense and the Hawks taking advantage of getting by that first line of defense and kicking to the corner against some low man help. The Blazers were also bricking some threes. They're 1-2 on this road trip. A win in Chicago and the back-to-back losses over the weekend in Charlotte and Atlanta. They're 34 of 130 from three in these three games. That's a cool 96 missed threes. I feel the same way about the Klingon stuff as I do about about Blazers missing three-pointers. Klingon doesn't guard on the perimeter well. I don't think, I think it'd be, there are times when you just want him out higher, right? You want him 2 steps higher than he is. He can't be below the foul line. On that 5th three that Okongwu takes, the ball is on the right wing. He's below the foul line. What are you doing? I understand you want to protect the paint, but time's done change. This dude has hit 4 threes. He's on one. Make sure that he's not the person to beat you on this possession. Make it be anyone else. It's not like the Hawks. The Hawks are not loaded with shooters. Their wings are interesting. With Jalen Johnson's awesome, but he's not a shooter. Dyson Daniels basically forgot to shoot this year. He had a nice little game, but he basically forgot how to shoot this year. It doesn't take him anymore. Jonathan Kuminga, who kind of punked the Blazers, threw down a couple awesome dunks in garbage time. Non-shoot, he's a better shooter maybe than certainly than Daniels, but you'll live with him taking threes, right? But Okongwu, who's a pretty good shooter, who's already hit 4 in the game, he's on one. Go defend him there. But I don't think Donovan Klingon right now can be a guy who defends at the level and defends a bunch on the perimeter. The level meaning when someone sets a screen, you come up to the level of the screen. He can come up higher out of his drop for sure, and he should, and they got to get him to do that. But I don't think he can play at the level. I don't think you can, the way you handle shooting bigs in the league most commonly is to switch those screens. You definitely don't want to just play Klingon in a switch scheme. He'll get toasted. They missed Rob Williams. They miss having another center who can switch. And I just think their defense overall, and I've been on this all year long, their defense overall under Splitter has taken a big step back for reasons that are large. I can't quite pinpoint, right? They should be better than they are. Maybe some of it is Toumani Camara taking a little bit of step back from being one of the 10 or 12 best defenders in the league to something like the 20 or so best defenders in the league. But that alone, the addition of Jrue Holiday, you thought they'd be better. More Jeremy Grant this year, you thought they'd be better. Now they're playing with Matisse Thybulle, and they got cooked on defense. They've had Chris Murray the last couple games. He's a good defender. I guess they played decent enough defense against the Hornets, but yeah, just they've just taken a big step back with Splitter defensively. I thought they were going to be one of the top 10 defenses in the league. I thought being something like the 8th best defense in the NBA was a very reasonable goal for them, and they've been a below average defense all year long. But I don't think that's going to change magically. Some of their challenges is just personnel. That's Jimmys and Joes, not X's and O's. Klingon is not going to become more fleet of foot. They can get better at how deep he is on the drop and how attentive he is there. And I've talked to Splitter about this, asked him about it in post-game press conferences where he's said, they're asking for him. They're begging him to both get out and defend the rim, and they've kind of been frustrated when he hasn't gotten out far enough. So perhaps they are talking to him and it's just not getting there, but some of it is scheme stuff. There are nights when they want to give up those shots, and I think, I think they were okay early saying, we want to take the rim away, and if Kongwu hits shots, he hits shots. But once he does, you can't die that way. Like that can't be your cause of death. And it wasn't the only thing that they lost, but it really put the game away early, and then they just couldn't get it going. The offense is just no good right now. It's just without Denny and without Shaedon Sharpe, the offense is just no good. And that brings me to the 3-pointers. Yes, they're probably taking too many threes. Yes. But how many threes are they taking? And I want you to, when you're watching the game, ask yourself this. How many threes are they taking that they could actually generate a better shot from 2? How many dudes on the team right now they can take the ball with their own 2 hands and dribble towards the basket and create a quality look? You thought it would be Scoot, but it just hasn't been. Drew Holiday's been good at it. He was good at it this weekend. Jeremy Grant has been good at it when he draws fouls, but he didn't draw fouls over the weekend. He got to the free throw line a total of 0 times against the Charlotte Hornets, and like a Jeremy Grant who does that is no good. And he took 2 free throws against the Hawks. No good. He was 1 of 9 and had 0 of 3 inside the arc. Like, he's not a shot creator like that. That's not Grant has, like, in theory, but like he could create his own offense. In practice, he can't. He's not good at it. We've watched him enough. I watched him enough for at least 2 years to know that Jeremy Grant is maybe better than some of the Blazers' options. But if you're talking about like above average in the grand scheme of the league, certainly not, right? Denny was the guy who made it all work, and without him, the offense is not any good. And so some of the taking threes and launching threes is because they just don't have a way to create other offense. There was a play in the first half against the Hawks. I think it speaks to this kind of what I'm talking about here. Scoot Henderson gets all the way into the paint, throws it, overhead bounce pass to Vit Krejci in the corner. They close out on Vit. Vit swings it to the top of the key, or to the wing. They swing one more to the top of the key. Sidi Sissoko gets it. He drives a closeout, gets into the paint, and has no move in between game to do anything with. They end up kicking it back out, and it recycles to Toumani Camara, who catches it against the clock, doesn't want to shoot it right away, ends up taking a pump fake 3 that he misses. That's pretty good process, right? Like, drive, kick, swing, get the closeout. That's NBA basketball, right? That is the basics of the sport. And it ends with in the hands of Sidi Sissoko, who just like doesn't have that in his game. He goes hard to the rack, but he doesn't have like in between craft. And when you kick out to Toumani late, he's got to shoot it the moment it touches his hands. But even if it does, it's a contested late clock 3. Some of the reason that they're launching 3-pointers at the rate that they are is that they are just not capable of generating better offense with the group that they currently have. And that's what I want to close on. And I should have done this earlier, but I guess this episode is going to be a little bit longer, but it's going to be 35 minutes or something as opposed to 30. But I feel like what this stretch has, without Denny Avdia and without Shaedon Sharpe, has illustrated it's just the distance this team is away from being legitimately competitive. You would have thought that they would have been able to prop up not having their dudes with just being a rugged defensive team. That's why I thought in October. By the time we got here this late in the season, I did not anticipate that. They haven't been very good on defense. I don't think them being bad on offense is a surprise considering their personnel. But when you're thinking about what's next, it's like Damian Lillard will probably help. He does things that they need him to do. How much he'll help is hard to know. We'll see what it looks like, but like he'll probably help. When Denny Avdia plays, they can be very competitive. He's had an awesome year, and when he was healthy, he was like putting together one of the best seasons in the history of the Portland Trail Blazers, no doubt about it. Shaedon Sharpe, for even all of his inefficiencies, at least can get buckets. Like he gets inefficient buckets, but at least he can go generate some decent enough looks, certainly better than a lot of his other counterparts on the team. But when you strip away, say those are your 3 best offensive players, it's Shea, Dame, and Denny, and you're just like a defense that can't stop anyone, that doesn't get back and locate in transition at all. Like, you're a below average defense and an awful offense. This weekend felt like they were further away than they've been all year, maybe, because it laid bare some of their challenges. And you look ahead and you say, well, shoot, a lot of these dudes are part of the plan next year, right? Like, A lot of this is like guys that kind of are hoping are like good parts of a good team. And certainly this is maybe just a low point and they bounce back and they play a lot better. I'm not saying this is set in stone, but I'm talking more like vibes here, general vibes. And I think the general vibes are like, wow, this is the distance they are from being good feels further away than it has been. And I think the other truth is like they're going to win a bunch of games in March. I had this conversation after the Blazers lost by 54 to the Nuggets right out of the All-Star break, a game where they were non-competitive. And I said, like, that was troubling. He said, yeah, but they're going to win 8 of their final 10 games or something like that. And I said, yeah, you're probably right. He said, and everyone's going to forget this. And he wasn't saying that as a compliment. That gentleman I was talking to is even more of a hater than me. It's good to keep those people in your circle. But like, I think they are going to rip off a bunch of games in March, and maybe it won't feel that way when they're beating the Pacers and the Nets and the Jazz or whatever. And you're going to be like, they're good actually, bro. I can't believe Mike was such a hater. This dude is a hater. I am. Point taken. I accept. But like, I think playing, moderately competitive teams, the Hornets are pretty good. They've been playing better. And the Hawks are, a moderately competitive team in the East. They're not very good, but they're not awful by any means. They're like, how as I described them heading into the weekend, they are just a champions of mediocrity. They're a totally average team. And to get punked by 34 by a totally average team is like, whoa. So do I have a solution for the Blazers? I do not. I think the solution is enjoy an evening in Atlanta, Georgia. Enjoy a Monday in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, and enjoy a travel day to Memphis on Tuesday ahead of Wednesday's game. And I wouldn't do too much basketball. They're not going to practice on Monday, and Tuesday's a travel day, so they're probably not going to do much physicality stuff, but watch film, get your mind right, and then you're going to play a very bad team against a team that doesn't have any interest in winning in the Memphis Grizzlies on Wednesday, and just win, because winning makes you feel better, and then the trip closes Friday against the Houston Rockets. That's a journey, a long trip away from home. This trip hasn't cost them like the play-in, as I mentioned. It's all on Friday's show. Like they're going to be in the play-in. It's just the feeling about what's next, I believe, has changed a little bit with this trip, both in the immediate and in the medium term. That's going to do it for this show. It went even longer than I intended, but that's what happens when you listen to Locked On Blazers. We deliver the goods. Tell your friends about the program. Tell them they can get it wherever they get podcasts and also on YouTube, and then come back for more shows the rest of the week. I've got a bunch of fun ones planned, including a visit from Trailblazers' own Lamar Hurd. You're not going to want to miss it. Join the Everydayer Club. Come back for more shows. I appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.